Hi and welcome back to Where the Soulfowers Grow. My name is Serene Tuurhiede and this is where I share the growth stories and personal growth lessons from my own journey with both the house that I'm renovating here in Sweden on the countryside and just the life in general that I decided to go for, where I am following my inner compass, and I hope you get some inspiration from this for your own life. And today's episode is for you if you have found that this looking for signs that will point you in the right direction, there's something off about that. And I can tell you right off the bat, there is, and it's not you, you're not doing anything wrong, but there's a couple of things that you need to understand about this is a sign and why it can lead to actually a more disempowered life. And I want to, as always, talk about an example from my own life, a very recent one. It is the job that I took on and that I just quit a few days in, which is something I've never done. I'm usually the person who's like really wanting to give things a chance and make them work. And that is actually a pattern I am working on getting out of, because yes, with everything, also with the things that are meant for you, that are right for you, there are like hard things and things that, do require work. But there is a difference between working out something that is workable and trying to make something work that never can work because it just doesn't align with you. And that was the situation for me with this job. And okay, let's start from the beginning. So when I got here to Sweden, I was renting an Airbnb while I was waiting to get access to my house. And just a few days in, one of the neighbors stopped by. She was so sweet, so nice. She brought me cinnamon buns. And she was like, "Oh, I heard you're German. I'm a teacher at the local school and we need a German teacher. Would you be willing to look into that if that's something for you?" And I just felt like, oh, that is just the nicest thing. And also it felt like, wow, like here I am apparently, or here I am in what feels like the middle of nowhere, and life just stops by and brings me a job in the form of this really nice person. Already then I was like, be careful about this. Don't just do it because you feel flattered and because it seems easy. And so in the beginning, I thought I was pretty clear on, no, this is not what I want. This is not for me. And then after a while, I just got kind of, wait a minute, am I throwing out something where there could be something? Am I just not looking hard enough? So I tried to get in contact with the principal, but kind of not wholeheartedly, because I was in this back and forth already. And for a while, I couldn't get a hold of her. And then at some point she tried reaching out to me. And then we did get together, sit down together and talk things through. And it felt really good. I got a really nice feeling from her. And it felt like, this makes sense. I mean, I do want to have time both for my coaching clients and for my YouTube channel, but I'm also in the reality of, at this point, even though I have paying clients, it's like it's not a stable income. It's like nothing that I can rely on to provide for me full time at this point yet. So I felt like I do need something in the meantime. And also, like, having a YouTube channel doesn't mean you automatically make money from it. I think we're all in the awareness of that. And as much as I'd love to get there, and I am working my way there, and it feels like, oh, we're headed in the right direction, that is also like a long-term project. And I mean, like everybody, I need money to live now. And especially with this house, that's just a part of the reality. And I like being really open about that. And not being one of those coaches who's pretending like, oh, this is all that I do, when in reality I do have other forms of income, because I just feel like, I don't know. Let's be real, okay? This is 2025. we're not, we're not falling for that anymore, those shady coaches on Instagram. And I definitely don't want to be one of them. I want to be real with you. And especially those of you who are also maybe dreaming about pursuing, whether it's a coaching career or YouTube or whatever, like any of those things that take time to build, the reality is you need some form of income in the meantime, or you have to have savings. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. So it felt like, yeah, this could be a good opportunity. I want to give it a try. And like already in the first days at the school, like the teacher's so nice, like, and that's a huge part for me. Like at every one of my workplaces, that has always been like for me the most deciding factor, that the chemistry with the people feels right, that it feels like, yes, I can be with these people, this feels really friendly, sometimes even almost like family. And I got the same thing. And during the first days of school, I just got so stressed, and I was telling myself, like, yeah, it's normal. You're not a teacher. You're doing something you've never done before, and you have no training whatsoever. So of course you're nervous, and of course you're stressed. And I felt like, yeah, but I'm willing to go into this because this will also help me on my coaching path, because this is an opportunity to be speaking in front of people. Like, I mean, kids are people too, and speaking in front of a group, that feels like a skill. I would like to have that, because it's not the same as I'm talking here on the podcast or on YouTube. Yes, there's thousands listening to this or watching this, but I don't see that. I'm just speaking into the camera with my microphone here alone in my room. So it felt like a good opportunity. And also, you know, learning how to speak to a group so that they're interested. So I was coming up with all these ways in which this job could be helping me on my own journey, even though it wasn't 100% aligned. But the thing that happened was I could just feel in my body, like everything was just, not just I can't do this, I don't want to do this. There's this part of me that feels like when somebody's offering something to me and they're being nice about it, and like in a logical way it all makes sense, then it gets really hard for me to say no. And I also felt like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm letting all these kids down. Like I could be a really cool person for them to connect with, because I feel like I'm good with taking people seriously, and not just grown-ups, but also speaking on eye level with children or youth. And to me that felt like, oh, this would have been such an opportunity to be that person. But the thing is, when your body tells you something and it tells you no, then all of these things don't matter. And that's the thing about looking for signs and wanting to make things right. Usually we do that when they aren't, because when things are right and they are aligned, there is a pull where you don't have to make a long list of why this would be a good idea. There's just this, oh, I want this. And then we accept that there's also parts that come with it that maybe we don't want, but we're okay with dealing with that. Like in my coaching business, like I'm not crazy about putting all my receipts in order so that I can do the tax declaration, you know, that type of stuff. But I'm in the awareness of, okay, this is what's part of being self-employed, and I have no issue doing it, even though it's not my favorite part. But when we try to get ourselves to do something that in reality we don't want, it's a different thing. Then we are doing what I was doing. I come up with this long list. We come up with this long list of why it's a good idea, and we try to reason ourselves into something. And I could tell, like I had physical symptoms, like I was super stressed and nervous before the school days. I broke down and cried in front of the other teachers, and that was actually a very healing experience for me, because for one, I decided to not hide how I feel, which is what I usually do, or like I am currently in the process of bettering myself in that way, that I want to be authentic in front of people, regardless of what their reaction might be. I just feel like, no, I want to show who I am so that I can get a chance at a good reaction from others. They might not come from everybody, but if I hide my feelings, then even the ones who would give me a good reactions, they don't even get a chance. So I was really moved by how compassionate the other teachers were, how encouraging, and also like how, I mean, just giving me a hug and holding me and like letting me cry. That just felt so like such a relief and so healing, because I used to be someone who has a really hard time accepting that and letting others in. So that's also what in the beginning made me feel like, okay, this is another reason why I want to do this. I want to work in a place where this is the kind of, you know, community or camaraderie that you have with each other. But at the end of the day, when I, for the, like, okay, it was the first night that I couldn't sleep, but it was the third time I was about to go to school, and I just had this in my entire body feeling of, I cannot do this. I do not want to do this, regardless of what other good reasons are. And I spent an entire night not sleeping with a stomach ache, and like at 5 in the morning, I sent a text message to the principal saying that I cannot do this, and that I know that I signed a contract, but I hope that there's a way to solve this. And that is when the stomach ache stopped and I was able to go to sleep. And the thing is, when you're looking for signs, you do end up in these kinds of situations, because I wanted to take it as a sign that this just showed up on my doorstep and that people were being so nice and being like, hey, we need you. Like, that is something I'm very susceptible for. So that's something I took as a sign. But I feel like the thing with signs is they're not there to make you do something. They're there for you to check in with yourself. And that is also what I did. And I feel like that is actually the most important lesson for me in this, that where I would have used to make myself make this work and like, you know, just go through this. I think like a couple of years ago, if that had happened, I would have made myself go to work feeling the way I felt and probably cried for weeks. And I've heard so many stories, by the way, like, oh yeah, this is totally normal. I cried my entire first month, or yeah, like, from teachers too, like people who have an education in how to do this. And this could have been very well me wanting to make this work and going to school for a month or a full year and getting into something, making myself okay with something that my entire body feels isn't what I want, isn't what's right for me. And that is what a lot of us do, because it is really challenging to trust that inner voice when everybody around you is saying something else, saying, oh no, but you'll be good at this, or you've got this, and we need you, and we are so glad you're here. And at the end of the day, yes, those are all signs. And the fact that this job found me rather than me having to go out search for it also, yes, it's a sign, but the signs are only ever there for us to check in with ourselves and make sure is what we feel on the inside, is our inner compass, is that aligned with that? That's what we should be using signs for. And I see so many of us looking for signs and taking signs and kind of disempowering ourselves. What I mean by that is when you just blindly follow the signs and you override what you feel inside of you, then the signs are not leading you towards the life that is truly aligned with you, that is meant for you, that will, yeah, the life that expresses you. You are lining up with a life that is directed by outer circumstances, by outer signs, by what other people think and need and want. And that can be very painful. And I know if you've been here on the channel for a while, you've heard my story. about what led me to buying a house in the countryside here in Sweden, that it was actually a life like that, where I wasn't following what felt true on the inside, where I was constantly overriding that voice. And actually, it was pretty eye-opening to when I was sharing and opening up about how I felt about school, about going there, how many people, not just teachers, but like also like for friends and family, telling about how they began their careers and how it was that way for them, that they like felt they couldn't do something, it was really hard, and they like pushed through. And I feel like that can be the right thing to do if it's for something where you feel that pull that I was talking about earlier, where you have this feeling of, yes, but I really want this, so I'm willing to go through the hard parts. But what I noticed was there were so many stories where it was actually pushing through something where that person didn't really go for what they wanted. It was what somebody else had arranged for them. Maybe like their father or somebody had set up a career for them, and then they pushed through something that actually wasn't even what they wanted. And that also showed me like, yeah, no, this is not the pattern that I want to step into and promote. I want to see what's on the other side of when I listen to what I feel on the inside, even though the reflection on the outside may be, oh no, you should go this way. I want to find out what that is like. And so I'm back to doing that. I can also see how wanting to take this job was me wanting to get a kind of certainty and yeah, having things figured out instead of leaving openness for things that truly are aligned with me, but that may come about in a way that I cannot foresee or plan. So I am back to living a life that is steered by this inner compass. And even if that means that I cannot look and plan and predict very much into the future. I mean, I know what I want. I know I want to inspire people to live according to their own inner compass instead of trying to go into these systems where everything's fixed and regulated and you just have to make yourself fit in, and that's the price you pay. I feel like that is such a recipe for an unlived life. And that is something that came out of this immediately as I made that choice, even though it was very hard, and I didn't feel the relief immediately. I actually felt like, oh no, this was your chance at, having some sort of security. And so what was good that came out of it is a friend of mine who's staying with me right now. She was like, oh my goodness, you doing this, it inspired me so much. I just booked a viewing for the house that I want. And also I'm getting my stuff together to finally sell this business. I'm not postponing this anymore. And that reminded me so much, yes, this is what I'm here for. I want to inspire others. And you do not inspire others by just talking about things. You inspire others by doing the things that you believe are right. And I believe in following your inner compass, even if it doesn't make much sense to the mind all the times. So I did write down a couple of things that I want to share with you that you can do when you feel like, oh yeah, I'm also in this. I'm looking for signs and I'm letting that kind of steer my life, but I feel that it's actually not serving me very well. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, all of those signs and what other people think, it doesn't matter, because the one living in your body and having your life experience is you, and your life experience is the consequence of the choices that you make. And the choices are, regardless of whether you consciously make them, knowing that yes, I am choosing, I am making the decisions in my life, or whether you are going with, oh, but so-and-so thinks this, and I saw this sign that meant that. It doesn't matter. It's a choice either way. and you're the one living with the consequences. So what can you do? The very first thing I think is helpful when you find yourself seeing signs and going like, oh, that's a sign I should do this, is remember that signs are not a sign you should do something. Signs are there to check in with yourself and be like, oh, why am I making this mean that I should do this? Do I want this? What about it is it exactly that I want? Like with the school, for me, it was about, I wanted to connect with people, with the locals, like just in this area where I'm living. I do want some sort of connection with the people that are here. I also like feeling needed, and when others express this, hey, I think you'd be good at this, we could need you here, that is a strong pull for me. And also the security, it felt like, oh, that would make things so easy. I would have this, because it wasn't a full-time job, I would have these 3 days a week that I go to school, and in the rest of the time I can keep building my business. And yeah, so I wanted things to be easy because I was not trusting that just because I don't know exactly how or when or what doesn't mean that going for the easy thing is the right choice. It could also mean, like in this case, suddenly you have something, yeah, it's easy to go to school 3 days a week, but how easy is it when you're doing something that isn't for you? Like then suddenly it takes up a lot more of your energy, and the easy thing suddenly became the hard thing. So check in exactly what it is that you want, and then ask yourself, is the opportunity that is being shown to me, is that really the most direct way to go about this desire? Like for me, for example, in this, the realization that, okay, I do need some sort of security. And if I'm going for the entrepreneurial route, that means I cannot look for security in my income, in my jobs. It's a part of the setup that, yeah, there will be like a flux, that sometimes there will be more, sometimes there will be less, and I cannot necessarily predict it. I mean, you do get to a certain level where things are more stable, but that's not where I'm at. So to look for that there, maybe not such a wise choice. And a friend of mine gave me this really good advice, and she said that when you're having an unmet need in a situation, then you can either look for that need somewhere else, or you can find other needs that are getting met in that situation and amplify those so that the unmet need doesn't play such a big role anymore. I believe more in the first suggestion, that looking for, okay, where can I get that need met? And in my case, I realized I am actually pretty happy living with instability in my business if I have security in my personal relationships. So I'm leaning more into that. I'm leaning more into letting people in on how I feel, being vulnerable, and not just work through things by myself, and only once I've resolved my feelings, only then talking about it. Like yesterday, when I took that decision to quit my job and yeah, couldn't feel the relief immediately, I just started sending voice messages to my friends and family and letting them in on what I had just done, how I was processing it, and that type of stuff. That is something that I wouldn't have used to do. I would have used to figure this out by myself, and then at some point, once I felt like, oh, I've processed this, then I would have told the finished story, so to say. And so that is what you can do when you're looking for signs. Check in with yourself. Why am I wanting this to mean that? And is this the most direct way I can get it? Or is there something else that I can do to get it? Remind yourself that the signs are there to help you figure stuff out, to get clarity. And your inner compass knows. And sometimes it's about trusting the knowing before it feels like you have all the evidence. So when you become more aware of that, the signs aren't there for you to be blindly followed, but to help you get clarity, then you regain your power. And your power is choosing. You're the one that's choosing, whether you're in awareness of it or whether you're not, whether you're following somebody else. That is also a choice, even if we're not aware of it. So once you take that power back to where it belongs, to you, that the choosing is for you, then it becomes more about the, okay, what is it that I'm choosing, and can I just make the choice for now? Because that's another thing that we like to forget, or we want certainty, and it's human, it's natural. We want to know that we're safe. I get it. I have that too. That's, like I said, that's what made me go for this choice that later had to undo, basically. And I find that we get more security out of accepting that things will change. Every choice that we make puts us in a new situation and gives us a new experience. And that experience actually gives us more information. It may lead to, oh yeah, this is what I want, and now I understand why I wanted it, and now I want more of it. Or it can also lead us to, oh, now I understand why I wanted that, but now I also understand why I'm not finding it here. So I need to adjust my path, how I'm going about what I want to get. And when you live that way, that you're leaving more space for, okay, I'm making this choice now based on the information that I currently have, but I'm in the awareness that things may change as I'm gaining the experience and as I'm learning more, and I'm giving myself the space to alter my decisions, to make new decisions, to make different choices at any time. I think to the mind that feels a little bit like things are random and everything's up in the air all the time. But what it does in reality, it creates this space for opportunities to come to us, instead of us having them all shut out because we've already decided, nope, this is the path and there's no looking left or right. We're doing this now. We're pushing through. And choices become easier when they are not this like huge, okay, is it the right choice? Is it the wrong choice? Because I'm making this choice and it has to last for, I don't know, forever or for a very long time. When you're giving yourself the space to make this choice now based on your understanding now, and you're also giving yourself the permission to change at any time, it becomes so much easier to get into the willingness of taking choices and taking risks, taking chances. And that is actually what I'm doing right now. I am not making this mean anything. I'm not making this mean, oh, this is my sign to not get a job and just focus on my coaching and YouTube. And I mean, I will do that for a while, and I am giving myself to evaluate at any moment, and at any moment where I feel like, oh, this is really good, it's going somewhere, it's headed in the right direction, it's a good investment of my time and my savings that I'm using for this, I will keep going. If at any point I'm realizing, no, I do want a job, that just wasn't the right one, now let's get clarity on what that job could be, what I want to do to support myself as I'm building this business, then I will do that. I don't need to have all the answers right now. For now, I'm just like, okay, that wasn't it. Let's focus on the things I want to focus on. If at any time I'm getting the sense of something needs to change, I will make that change. And that is really all there is to it. And yes, that does require a little bit of courage, because it's living outside of what most of us do. A lot of us are living very much in this. We want so much the security and the safety that we have a lot of things that are already decided, but those things are also boxing us in. Those things are what's making it hard to breathe. Those things are what's making it hard to want to be in our lives. Those things are why we want to sit on the couch and distract ourselves with a series, or why we need these expensive vacations or something. Like all of this, it adds up to a life that we kind of want to escape from. And my goal is to create a life that I don't want to escape from. My goal is to create a life that is fully aligned with me, or as much as I can. I mean, I know that it's a progress, and but this has also showed me, okay, I'm not there anymore where I'm willing to make that work for the sake of security, like lasting for a week and then stepping out of it. That was just so healing for the part of me that has been abandoned so many times because I have pushed through stuff that wasn't really in alignment with me, and showing myself that, okay, I can still get into the things when they're alluring, but I'm much faster at getting myself out of it, even if it feels hard. And that is such a healing and good experience to have. And this is also something I'm taking from this. Okay, I'm building trust with myself that I am living my life with integrity and in alignment with myself, with my soul. And my wish is to be an example and share with you what it is that I'm doing, and not just when I have the happy ending, the finished story, the, oh, here's my business, I'm making this and that, and it's so easy, this is, you just have to take these steps. No, I want to share my journey as it unfolds, with all the ups and downs and all the lessons. And I also feel like they're so much easier to remember and to really share with all the struggles and all the doubt and everything when you're in it, and not when you're past it. Like, I feel like the things that I've mastered in my life, for one, they're kind of hard to remember because, like, now I'm busy with the stuff that's keeping me up at night now. And I just want you to live your life in alignment with you, and inspire you and help you with sharing my story, and sharing all the parts of it, the good ones and the hard ones, because all of those are a reality. And these hard choices, they are so worth making, because that's the thing, we're so scared of making them. And I could feel this, like, quitting this job felt like I was about to step into nothingness. But I feel like, okay, I have been doing this for like half a year now, and I've been proven so many times that it's the right thing to do. And the fear that feels like you're about to be pulled through a brick wall, every time it turns out to be this smoke screen. It turns out to be a belief, and that there is something better and more true to myself on the other side. And I really want to share that with you and encourage you to go for the things that you feel on the inside that you don't see reflected on the outside yet. And it can't. The outside cannot reflect what only you can see, and only you can bring that to the world. And it will make this world so much better the more of us do that. And I'm here rooting for you. And yeah, I hope that this channel and this podcast is like a companion on your journey that encourages you to take those brave steps, in the knowing that it does take courage. It's not waiting for the sign. It's not waiting for things to line up so that everything's easy. It's having the courage to do it while it feels hard, and allowing yourself to step into the unknown, and having a life that is a lot more magical, and that does lead you towards what you want. Because that's the thing, our desires are there for us. They're not something that is one of my, or used to be one of my biggest fears, and the reasons why I wouldn't go for my desires, because I had this belief that I can't get what I want. But that's not how it works. The desires are the things that we are meant to have. but we do need to walk the walk. We do need to go towards them. That is the only rule, basically. The desire wants to be fulfilled, and it will be fulfilled by you going towards it, by us going towards it. And I mean, I'm sitting in one of the results right now. Like, this house is just such a huge reminder for me that all the hard choices are worth it, because having a desire fulfilled feels exactly as good as you imagine it, but or actually even better, because it's true, it's reality, it's not just a dream in your mind anymore. So yes, please remember you are loved and worthy of all the good things that you want. And it's not about fixing you, it's about finding the way that works for you to get what you truly want, the way that you are right now. I love you so much, and see you and hear you in the next one. Bye bye.